Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one, Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
What up, Cavs fans, and welcome to another edition of the Block the Shot to Stop. Here with Skylar Webker, I am Kevin Lynch, and we are here to talk about the drumming that the Cleveland Cavaliers just put on the Miami Heat in Game 3 on this beautiful Saturday afternoon in Chicago. Hopefully it's the same there in Cleveland or anywhere else you're listening. Skylar, did you have fun today?
This was fun. This was kind of what we said we wanted to see out of the Cavs, putting together a complete from tip to end game.
100%. Couldn't agree more. It's going to be all positive and celebrating today. And we got a lot to talk about. So let's jump in. Kind of where we wanted to start is just the fact that the Cavs dominated this game, ended up winning by 37 points. There's 4 outstanding performances that we want to highlight, and none of them is Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, or Darius Garland, who didn't play today. That, and I mean that as the biggest compliment, like how good this Cavs team played today and how deep they are when everything's running on full cylinders. So the 4 guys we're going to talk about in no particular order: Max Strus, Jarrett Allen, DeAndre Hunter, and Ty Jerome. All fabulous today. We want to touch on all of them. So Skylar, I'll let you pick who you want to start with.
I'll start with Jarrett Allen. I mean, he was absolutely nearly perfect from out there tonight. I mean, 8 of 9 from the floor, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, gobbled up 9 rebounds. He was just dominant out there inside the paint. There's nobody that could really stop him from any type of. He didn't really get that much cleanup because there's only 2 offensive rebounds, but he didn't really have anybody challenging him in the paint. Yeah. And I think a lot of that was they were really focused on Evan Mobley, that Jarrett Allen was able to kind of do whatever he wanted in the paint.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And to modify just slightly what we said to open the show, the Cavs didn't exactly dominate this game from the tip. They actually were down 15-6, 6 minutes into the game. The Heat came out like you know, the underdog does a lot of times in Game 3 with like just one big haymaker. They get their crowd behind them, and then if you're, you know, the favored better team as the Cavs are in this, it's all about like you take that and then how do you respond? And so that's exactly what happened today. Heat come out, they're up 15-6, 6 minutes into the game. Jarrett Allen scored the first 6 points for the Cavs, really keeping them from getting away from them even more than that early. And then, and to stay on Jarrett for a minute, I couldn't agree with you more. He was 8 of 9. How many of those were dunks? Like he had some just thunderous dunks today. He attacked the basket so hard on rolls, on offensive rebounds. Whenever he got set up, you know, he was like, he didn't have to make, I don't know, he might have made 2 or 3 offensive moves in this game to get to 22 points. He was really good at being in the right place at the right time, being like ready. And we talked about at the end of last game, the Cavs were getting really good penetration those first 2 games, but it just wasn't leading to the super high quality shots that we're used to with the Cavs. Wide open threes or point blank looks at the basket for Mobley and Allen. And today it did. And Allen, as you said, his credit was phenomenal. And he was phenomenal in part because his teammates, in particularly Ty Jerome, who I'll talk about in a second, were so good at finding him on those roles when he made himself open and presented himself.
Yeah, this just felt like a game that, like a traditional Jarrett Allen game, just being dominant inside the paint, being a great defender in kind of the mid game and short game. He didn't have any blocks or steals, but he had a ton of like altered plays, like just kind of changing how Miami was trying to stay in this game, and really made Miami, I would say, forced Miami to play on the perimeter or shoot from the perimeter, knowing that there wasn't going to be anything available in the paint.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't say more positive things about Jarrett Allen in this game. He Jared's always solid. Like there's not very many bad Jarrett Allen games, but occasionally you get these like just standout ones like tonight. And they typically come against some of the better centers in the league. And I still think Bam Adebayo is a top 5 or 6 center in the league. And so it was really good to see. Jared was a little bit quiet the first 2 games. Again, his normal solid self, but didn't do anything like this the first 2 games. So it was great to see him break out in such a big way today.
Absolutely. And like you said, just against the other centers in the league, Bam is a fantastic center. Andrew Wiggins is a good player, just not showing up in this series. And those were in they put Jokic in for another 20 minutes today. Yeah. So, he's playing against good, and Miami is a good defensive team. You wouldn't know since the Cavs are putting 120 on them on every game, but they are a good defensive stout team.
Yeah, for sure. I call Andrew Wiggins, and maybe I should put this online and try and popularize it. I call him like good light, bad light, because like he can look totally different depending on the lighting or the game or the moment in the game, right? Like there are games he has the exact like perfect NBA, skill package and athleticism package and everything. But there's certain games where he just he looks like he's, should be towards the end of the bench. And there's other games where, he's phenomenal. Looks like he could be a borderline star in the league. But yeah, tonight and really this whole series hasn't been it. But let's talk about that. Let's get back to the Cavs. That's what I want to talk about. Like I want to pair together the next 2 guys, DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome, and we'll talk about them separately because they're both phenomenal separately. But I first want to talk about the impact the 2 of them had when they checked in together halfway through the first quarter. As I said, the Cavs were down 15-6 halfway through the first quarter. That's right when Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter come in, and they took over the game, the last 6 minutes of the first quarter, to the tune of, in those 6 minutes, DeAndre Hunter, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 3 of 4 shooting. Ty Jerome, 4 points, 2 of 4 shooting, a rebound, and 5 assists. And I actually looked. Ty Jerome came in, and the first 5 offensive possessions he was in the game, the first one he scored, the next 4 he had an assist on. He literally either scored or led directly to the score the first 5 possessions he's in the game. And that's what phenomenal bench guys like both of them do, right? As they come in when a lot of times they'll come in the game, especially when the Cavs are as good as they are and the starters are as good as they are, and everything's going well and they just need to maintain it. But on those games where, the game doesn't start out great, like today's was, their job is to come in and just change the flow of the game. And they did that at the absolute highest level today.
Yeah, I mean, it was immediate. As soon as those guys came in, it just felt like, the Cavs are taking this one. I mean, it just like we've said all year, absolute just spark plug off the bench. But you really felt it in today's game. The absolute impact that they had. And look, Donovan Mitchell did not have a good game. I mean, 4-14 from the floor, kind of one assist and 3 rebounds. He didn't have a stellar game, but these 2 coming off the bench, I mean, I would say they are what put this game out of reach.
100%. And the 2 of them, because they both played exactly the same last 6 minutes of the first quarter, they were plus 19 in 6 minutes. And I know that's your stat, but I'm going to steal it for a minute here. But to be plus 19 in 6 minutes of action, I sometimes think plus minus can be misleading because you could come in for a few minutes, play badly, but the game goes in a way that you end up with a positive plus minus. But when it's at that extreme, when you're in the game when the 2 guys come in the game and they're in the game for 6 minutes and it's plus 19, it's because of those 2 guys, right? Like that's, phenomenal. And like, we'll focus on Hunter here for a second. By far his best game of the series. He'd been, he had some moments in game 2, was pretty quiet in game 1, but this was his truly complete game. 21 points on 6 of 8 shooting. What I loved, he only took 5 threes and he got 6 free throws. He was attacking, he was cutting, he was going to the basket. That's the DeAndre Hunter. He is a great 3-point shooter, but I want him to do it all. I don't want him to just settle behind the 3-point line all game. I want to see, he's so dynamic and athletic that I want to see him cutting to the basket, and I want to see him, blowing by guys when they overcommit on his 3-point shot. And so phenomenal. Also contributed like 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and was just super active all over the place. You felt his presence pretty much every minute of the game he was in.
Yeah, it seemed like the Cavs as a whole, but it seemed like in the moments where Miami started kind of hitting some bigger shots, DeAndre Hunter was right there to match whatever the shot was and just keep the lead. It seemed like the Cavs as a whole did that, but there were a couple of moments, especially some key threes, where either Davion Mitchell hit a 3 at the other end to kind of start getting some stuff going, and then right back at it, Ty Jerome or DeAndre Hunter would have an immediate answer to that. And that feels so good. I mean, we talked about it all year about beating teams in different ways, but this one really felt like it didn't matter what Miami did. Cleveland always had an answer. They always had control of this game.
Yes, 100%. Let's go to the other half of that, like dynamics. Bench Ty Jerome, phenomenal. Ty, frankly, had a bad game in game 2. We remember he was phenomenal in game 1, so it was great to see him have a bounce back today. His stat line: 13 points, 5 of 11 shooting, 11 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, and he played just over 21 minutes. So in just over 21 minutes, 13 points and 11 assists. I went back and looked to see how many of those 11 assists were led to a 2 or a 3. And you add it all up, he directly contributed via scoring himself or as an assist to 41 points in 21 minutes of action. That is wild. Absolutely insane, right?
You're not even counting hockey assists.
Yes. Like what else can we say about Ty Jerome, Skyler, please? Because I'm at a loss for words.
He should have been 6th man of the year.
Yeah, that's
the voters got it wrong. How's that?
Yes. No, that's a good one. And yeah, Ty, absolutely phenomenal today. And you knew he was going to be phenomenal 30 seconds into him coming in the game when he scored right away. Is immediately talking smack, like celebrating, talking to the Miami crowd. And I was like, this is going to be good Ty today. We usually see good Ty. We just happen to not last game. I'm like, he's going to have a good game today. And as always, just exceeds even high expectations that you put on him. And to kind of close the book on Jerome and Hunter, they were respectfully Hunter plus 34, Ty Jerome plus 33. I can't say enough about these guys. And if these guys can play anything close to this going forward, I really think this is one of the keys to the Cavs having the really extended playoff run that we were all thinking and hoping they can have.
This game would scare me if I'm in line to face the Cavs in the 100%. Sense of Donovan Mitchell did not play good. Darius Garland didn't play at all. He was aggravated toe injury, so he wasn't in this game at all. And they still, a blowout dominant win to the tune that only 2 players cracked 30 minutes played, and that's Max Strus and Evan Mobley with 31 and 32 minutes. Like this would be a scary win to know that even their bench can beat anybody's starters.
I couldn't agree with that more. We'd be remiss if we didn't also highlight Max Strus. Max has actually been really good all series. We probably haven't mentioned him enough. So Skyler, you take the floor. Like, tell us a little about what you saw from Max today.
Excellent shooting. From him coming from Miami, you can tell he's comfortable in that building, which helps. But 7 of 13 shooting, 4 of 9 from 3. Didn't make it to the free throw line, but 9 rebounds. He was chasing down those long rebounds. Kind of what we said in the season was they're good interior rebounding team, but failed to kind of get some of those longer rebounds. That was all Max Strus today. He was getting to those long rebounds because of how they forced Miami to play. They forced Miami to play on the perimeter, which then allowed guys to kind of focus more on that long rebound kind of area. He tied Jarrett Allen for rebounds tonight, which is crazy, on top of 5 assists. So, absolutely getting the rebounds, getting everything he needs from the line. This is kind of the Max Strus that we need. But this is the Max Strus that Colby Altman saw contributing to this team when they signed him 2 years ago.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm putting up I'll share a stat here. Max is like 55% field goal percentage in these 3 games. And that's not cherry picking. That's on 26 attempts. So he is contributing in really high level. They actually said coming into today, every one of his shots the first 2 games was 3-pointers. For the most part, Max is one of those guys I don't mind that too much of, but there is something in his game as far as you mentioned it, getting the loose balls, like getting like long offensive rebounds and stuff like that. So I do think there's opportunities for him like inside the arc as well. And he's way too good a player to label him as this, but a portion of his game is just being a pest. Like he is absolutely one of those guys that other teams hate. Like he wants them to hate him the way he plays. He wants to be annoying. He wants to be one of those guys that the crowd's, singling out, booing and everything. And you got to have villains on good teams, right? And like the fact that he doesn't mind playing the villain at all and playing and doing some of that dirty work that the Cavs need, particularly when you're the 5th guy playing with the big 4 to start the game. He really does just he's filled all the different small roles that the Cavs need him to.
And I feel like that's not just a Max Strus specific thing. I feel like that's this team. They're willing to play any role that they need to like contribute.
Yeah, you're 100%. You're 100% right. Like they have a lot of guys that do that. I do think Max kind of stands out being that 5th starter with the big 4, and Max stands out because really from the time that he got like his legs back, coming back from the injury in like December, early January, it was very obvious that the faith that Kenny had in him. He when he had the opportunity, inserted him back in the starting lineup. Even before he was in the starting lineup, sometimes his minutes didn't equal like the contribution he was making as he was kind of getting his rhythm back. But that all led me to believe that like Kenny sees this guy as like a main cog in this team, not a rotation player, but a main cog. The fact that he's playing a lot of games, pretty equal minutes to the other 4 guys. And yeah, I mean, we were probably a little bit remiss to not mention his impacts in game 1 and 2, but he was so outstanding tonight. Like you said, the night realized he also had 5 assists. He was just all over the place, like, and phenomenal defensively. After Tyler Hero had a couple of big games, in games in 1 and particularly in game 2, held Tyler Hero to 13 points on 5 of 13 shooting tonight. And Strus was the primary defender on Hero for large portions of the game. So can't say enough about Max tonight. Anything else you got about Max or any other individual players you want to mention before we talk about the team as a whole?
I would like, I guess, 2 pieces. One, talk about Dean Wade. He got 22 minutes today. Only got to put up 2 shots, but still ended with a plus 19 because he was just such a good defender. As guys are either on the perimeter or trying to cut to the rim, he was so good at like blocking those guys off. Still ended with 4 rebounds and 2 assists, but just his uptick in minutes and the production today, I think you've been talking about it all year long. I think that was just a real, like you said, cog in this Kenny system and how they approach the defensive end of the ball.
Yeah, 100%. Dean Wade's going to be important in this playoff run. For whatever reason, Kenny decided like Miami's not the best matchup for him, so his minutes have been pretty reduced in the first 2 games. You knew somebody was going to get more minutes today with Garland being out. You didn't know if they were going to add a guy to the rotation, like a Javonte Green or Craig Porter Jr. that hadn't played yet. You also thought like Isaac Okoro would have been a candidate. His minutes have been a little bit modest these first 2 games, and they were again today, but it was actually primarily Dean Wade that took those leftover minutes, especially when you factor in the fact that they pulled everybody those last 5 minutes of the game. And I agree with you. I think Dean just gave a solid performance. Like he, when a guy scores 0 points, but you still like kind of notice him and take note of him in a game, that means he's doing a lot of things towards winning, right?
Exactly.
They just aren't scoring. And I agree with you on Dean. Who else did you want to mention?
So I don't know if you saw Darius Garland's comments after last game where they asked, "Oh, what was your game plan?" And he said to pick on Tyler Hero. I don't love the comments, just in the sense of don't add to the storyline, don't add to bulletin board material, don't like Miami means nothing to you right now. Don't poke a bear that you, or don't, stir anything you don't have to. And then on top of it, it's just not a great look when you don't play the following game of your comment. But a win nonetheless, and they definitely took care of Tyler Hero.
I love it. You wanted to highlight the guy who didn't play today because yeah, I mean, I didn't mind the comments as much, mostly because the moment he said it, you could see Darius, like if you were watching it instead of just listening, Darius like smirked, like he knew what he did. He was having a little fun. And like I think this team is trying to create a little bit of edge to them because they're a bunch of nice guys. They're a really enjoyable thing, but with the playoffs come like so much more physicality and little bit of like a villainism, as we said about Strus. Like I think they're trying to create edge. Like I don't know if you caught it, but like Evan Mobley got interviewed after the game, and I don't recall exactly what he said, but it was something in the vein of like we just wanted to like basically said we're the better team. We want to make sure we took care of business and didn't mess around, basically. And maybe not as kind of like catchy as what Darius said, but very to the point and not like kind of worried about ramifications of anything that they say, and they shouldn't, because they're now have a 3-0 lead and on the cusp of a sweep, as the headline of the show says. But a couple other things I want to point out as a team were a couple of things that we mentioned kind of as lowlights the first couple of games, particularly like assists. We mentioned they're a team that usually gets like high 20s assists because they move the ball so well and they shoot the ball so well. And the first couple of games, I think they had 21 and 23, like easily below their averages. Tonight they had 32. They had a plus 14 assist edge on Miami that really highlights how good the offense clicked tonight. As good as this was like the highest level of Cavs clicking that, we saw kind of sporadically the last month or two of the season. Whereas we saw it every night, it felt like the first few months of the season. So I thought that was a really good sign that their assists were back up above their average tonight. And the other thing, the one thing this team sometimes gets maligned for, and it's probably fair at times, is they're not as good a rebounding team as you would think they would be. With having Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley, two phenomenal big guys, you would think this is a team that owns the glass. They actually are pretty much even for the season on rebounding, meaning like their opponents get basically the same number as them. And these last few weeks of the season, they were getting out rebounded pretty regularly, right? Tonight, a 56-34 edge in rebounding, plus 22. And you highlighted Jarrett Allen and Max Strus both leading the way, but everyone was getting on the boards. Everyone that played over 20 minutes had at least 3 rebounds. A couple of guys who played less than 20 minutes still had 2 to 3. So it was definitely, I feel like it had to have been something that was highlighted coming into the game and made a focus that it had to be gang rebounding, getting on the boards tonight. And they absolutely did. So credit to the entire team. I mean, especially Max and Jared for leading the way, but everyone got on the glass tonight. And it kept Mobley from getting a double-double, which I had a bet on. But that's okay. That's okay. Anything else from this game? I mean, there's so many good things we could talk about in this game, but anything else you think we should highlight before we kind of move on to the next one?
Free throws.
Okay.
It's been my thing all seasons that they're just not hitting enough free throws. They hit 85% of their free throws today, which you love to see. You love to see when they probably got to the line less than most teams, only got to the line 20 times or 20 shots at the line tonight. But to hit 17 out of them, like that's what you want to see, is that these guys are hitting the free throws and hitting the opportunities. I know it didn't matter as much in this game, but especially as you get into tighter and tighter games, those free throws are going to be more and more important.
Couldn't agree with you more. I always look at the free throw attempts, because free throw attempts usually tells you how aggressive a team is being at getting to the rim. We know that this team is a very good 3-point shooting team, but sometimes they can, maybe fall in love with it a little bit too much and not realize the best way to get open threes is to attack the basket and swing the ball and all those good things. So when they're getting 20 plus free throws a game, that to me is a really good sign that they're playing well. You combine the free throws with the assists, those are two really easy ways to look like how well the Cavs are playing offensively. If they're getting 20 plus free throws, it means they're attacking the basket. If they're getting 28 plus assists, it means they're moving the ball and knocking down shots when they get the opportunity. So completely agree with you. They were really good. I was actually trying to pull up the stats from game 1. Game 2, they were very good on free throw. They get 23 attempts, 21 and 21 makes. They're really good then. And then game 1, not quite as good. 13 to 16. They made the free throws, just didn't get quite as many attempts. So they're shooting above 80%, well above 80% in free throws for the series. Yeah, and you're right. As we get into tighter and tighter games, that's going to become more of an emphasis, is making sure you get to the line and making sure you knock them down when you get there. So no, that's a good.
And they kept Miami off the line tonight. I mean, they only had 10 trips to the line tonight, or 10 shots at the line.
Yeah,
I was trip up on, like, is it like shots or is it times at the line? Because they get 2 most of the time.
Yeah, and it all is to say, like, the defense was solid tonight, but it wasn't spectacular. Miami actually had pretty good shooting numbers. They shot 52% from the floor, 36 from 3. I mean, those are, above average shooting numbers. But because the Cavs, dominated the rebounds, because they forced 13 Miami turnovers, shot more free throws and everything, they just didn't give up they got a lot more opportunities to score than Miami did. And that was really the reason, more so than, like, they played good defense. I'm not trying to put it, put a poo-poo on that, but I just think they played such a complete game is the reason for holding Miami's scoring down and, causing it to be such a significant blowout and a great game today. And so we'll briefly talk about the Cavs are now on the cusp of a sweep of the Heat. They're right where they would want to be, right? You're when you're the number 1 seed. And Brian Windhorst always says this, that it's really important to end series as soon as you can, like early, because, it's more miles you put on, guys, the more opportunities for injury, things like that. So when you're a top seed, when you're a 1 or 2 seed, you want to try and end that first round series in a sweep, if not 5 games. And so they're now on the cusp of that. So, like, anything other than like a duplicate of tonight's game that you would be looking for Monday nights in game 4? Okay, Skylar froze up there for a second, so I'll give my opinion. Yes, I would just want something exactly like tonight's as far as offensive thing. And the biggest thing I think I would look for is Miami's going to try and come out with another spurt to start the game. Can the Cavs do exactly what they did tonight? Whether that's like keep it from happening, or when it does happen, keep it as, small as possible, and then like flip the game like they did, halfway through the first quarter night. So, like, other than just like, playing the same high level basketball, when teams are on the verge of a sweep, especially a team like Miami, who has so much pride and everything, they're going to come out and try and throw some haymakers to start the game. Can the Cavs, like, weather that, keep them from, like, getting a double-digit lead in the first quarter, and then just start taking care of business like they did tonight? Sorry, go ahead, Skylar.
No, yeah, my connection got real weird right there. But the fact that I like the Cavs are on the cusp of the sweep, only them and the Thunder have the opportunities to sweep. Now the Thunder are playing the Grizzlies right now, so we'll see how that shakes out. But you love to get done early, like Brian Windhorst said, and then let the other teams kind of have to put more miles on and do more, risk injury. You'd like to get it done, rest, recuperate, rest Darius Garland's big toe, and then come in and ready to attack either the Bucks or Pacers once that comes.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Would love to see them get this season taken care of on Monday. But either way, Cavs are like in exactly the position we'd want them to be in. You couldn't feel better about being a Cavs fan. While games 1 and 2, they won and they played really well in spurts. There wasn't a complete game, and then today they put together the complete game. And as you said, this is the type of game that other teams see and they're like, we don't want to play a Cavs team if they're playing like that, basically.
Exactly.
So for that, we'll go ahead and wrap up here. We will be back on Monday night. Well, Skylar and Tim will be back. I will be in the hospital, hopefully welcoming my wife and I's second child. She's going in and getting induced on Monday. So Marisa, I love you and can't wait for that to happen. So, and hopefully we get it done early in the day so I can watch some of the game without feeling bad. But for that, Cavs fans, go enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you to the Cavs for putting on such a display today. Made my whole weekend, and I'm ready to go. So for Skylar Webker, I'm Kevin Lynch. Thanks as always for tuning in, and
go Cavs.